So today we're going to be introducing Bravo to the Equiband system. It's essentially a resistance band system for horses. So if you exercise at home with resistance bands, you get the concept generally. The main difference though is that when we put these bands on, we're not going to have them very tight. It works more through the sensation of the resistance rather than the horses really working hard against the band itself. So if you've ever done like KT tape or like if you have mobility issues and you like body braids, like it's more that sensation for the horse. So they work with it through sensation more than actual physical resistance. So as you can see, the bands are not that thick, not that heavy weight of a band. So we'll have two bands. One is significantly shorter than the other. This one is the abdominal band. This one's going to come up under his belly to help him engage his core muscles, tuck his pelvis, lift his back, and work towards that roundness that we're always looking for. And then the long band is going to go around behind his butt and around to the other side and kind of cup right behind the hamstrings and encourage him to step deeper underneath himself, along with providing a little bit of resistance for some strength building. But most of that strength building is actually going to come from how the bands encourage him to move and step deeper underneath himself. So that's the point of the Equiband system. It comes with bands, and then we also have a specific saddle pad which has two clips on either side, one to go around the back of their legs and one to go under their abdominals. We have the English pad version here, but they also have a Western pad version. So if you have Western tack and prefer a Western pad, you can get that as well. Today we're going to be securing the pad with this just basic surcingle, but of course you can also throw your saddle on top of it. This is Bravo's first time with Equibands. Now he's been in surcingles and saddle pads and all that plenty, so that won't be new to him, but the bands will. So we're still going to treat it like a normal desensitization session to new equipment. So the first thing we'll do is have him come up and just sniff everything. Again, it's pretty familiar to him, probably won't be that interesting, but we'll still have him come touch and sniff. And we do use positive reinforcement for all our desensitization. He's not even that interested in it. He's like, how can I earn my treats? I don't really care about this equipment. But we'll let him play with it for a second. The bands are going to be the weirdest part. He's seeming pretty okay with that. So we'll back him up a little bit here so we've got some room. And then, like I said, the pad and the surcingle is not going to be interesting, but the bands are wiggly and make funny noises. Good. So anytime he comes and engages with it, we click and treat. Good boy. All right, so now I'm just going to walk around him. I'm going to touch him with it. He says, no, thank you. I don't want. There's a good boy. And Bravo is a horse, I'd say, is a little bit more on the sensitive side, but he's also very reasonable. So as long as you just take your time and give him breaks when he tells you he needs breaks, he comes around pretty quickly. Good boy. Just gonna rub all over, especially around his butt, because this is where most everything is gonna be. Behind his legs, under his belly. So if you have a horse that's sensitive to their bellies being touched or sensitive to behind their legs being touched, you want to work on that desensitization first and not jump straight into something like this, because once you have it on, there's going to be a little pressure at all times. When they move, they're going to feel it brushing against their hair, and it can be startling to horses that are sensitive to that. So we know he's pretty good about having under his belly touched and behind his back legs, but I'm just going to do it again, especially with the weird wiggly sounding things. They make that really funny rubber wiggle noise. There we go. if he picks his head up and looks nervous, I'm just gonna slow down for a second. Good. Thank you for slobbering on it. Good boy. All right. Now I'm gonna let them go long and just kind of swing him around. Good boy. I'm gonna drop one here. The next thing I'm gonna do is put it along his body like this and kind of rub. Start putting a little pressure. He says, that feels funny. Good boy. And this is why having a second person is really important. I could be holding his lead and walking around trying to do this, but having a second person helps with a little bit of distraction, which can be helpful sometimes. And also, if he does spook or move quickly or whatever, you can make sure the other person is safe, make sure he doesn't get loose or anything like that. It's just safer on first desensitization rounds to anything to have a second handler for the first time. All right, now I'm gonna go behind his butt and kind of pull against his butt and stretch and rub, and that was so good. I know I have treats too, but she's treat person right now. Good boy. All right, he did pretty good with all that. So the next thing, and I feel like I've seen this trip some people up, is this pad has the big clips on it. The clips are really loud. So we want to make sure he's okay with that clipping sound before we put it on him. So he wasn't scared of it, but he noticed it. Just bring him up and let him watch me do it. Oops. Good boy. All right, now I'm gonna do it back by his butt, because the clips are gonna be right about here, so it's mostly gonna be behind him. Good boy. Go on the other side. And he does not care, which we love to see. We love not caring. All right. So that's all gone well. So next step, we're just gonna throw the pad on, throw the surcingle on, get that ready to go. This he's all used to. What are we doing? And you don't have to do the surcingle very tight. It just has to be tight enough so that when you put the bands on, especially the back band, it just can't pull the saddle pad back. The first one that we're gonna do is the abdominal band. And depending on your horse, that might be as far as you got in one day. Just introducing them to the equipment, making sure they're comfortable with it, touching them. It would be okay if that was your first session. Bravo's doing great. He's a pretty cool, chill guy. So I think we can go to the next step. So you're gonna start with just one band at a time. And the first thing I'm gonna do is just like I did when I was just holding the pad, I'm just gonna clip and unclip it a few times. Ready? Good boy. Good job. And right now, I do have these pretty long. When you're desensitizing, you're not gonna have them to the tightness you would want them to be for work yet. Good boy. Okay, so he's pretty good with all that. So this time I'm gonna clip it, and we're gonna let it hang. There we go, good boy. Rub it on his belly. Because when you're doing this, I'm gonna have to let it go and walk to the other side. So they have to be okay with this dangling and moving and all that. Go to the other side. I'm gonna bring it up under his belly. I'm not gonna fully clip it. I'm just gonna do that to start and then let it go. Now the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hold this, I'm not gonna clip it, but I'm gonna hold it snug, and then Shar is going to walk him, we'll just walk in a little circle so he can feel this moving against his hair. And I can drop it and let it go if he decides it's hair. Boy. He's a little bit like, that's interesting. But it's not eating me, so that's okay, I suppose. Good boy. All right, that went really well, so I'm actually going to clip it this time. Now these bands do fold in half when you get them into the keepers here that you can use to tighten and loosen them, but you do want to flatten it out under their belly. Now you can see this is not very tight at all. It's touching him, but it's not even very snug. That's how we want to start, so he can just feel the sensation of it, but not feel too restricted. So Sharp, go ahead and walk him around again for a sec now that it's clipped. And we'll just let him feel that. Now if you ride Western and your horse is used to back cinches and things like that, this will probably be nothing for them, but if your horse isn't used to things like back cinches, it can be a little bit irritating or odd at first. There we go. Killing it. Good boy. And the abdominal one is usually the easier one to do. Horses are a little less offended by it most of the time. But I'm going to take it off while we do the leg band, just so it's not too much all at once. Puts on the funniest face when I make that noise. All right, so we know he's pretty good with the clipping. So we'll just do that a couple times, make sure he's still happy with it. Because I'm happy with it, I'm just getting food. Love this. Easiest work ever. All right, and then just like last time, I'm gonna go behind his butt. Now in terms of placement, when you're desensitizing him, you wanna kind of put it everywhere so they feel it everywhere, because it can kind of slip down to here, or it can be up to here. You just wanna let him feel it everywhere. You can go under his tail, flatten it out, come around behind his butt, and now I'm just holding it over here. It's not clipped. I'm just holding it so that it's tight to his skin. And just like with the abdominal, I'm gonna have Shar walk him around so he can feel this. And this is usually the weirder sensation. So I'm gonna be ready to let it go or move away if he doesn't like it. Sometimes they feel stuck. First couple steps, they go, ooh. Good boy. Good boy. So you see, I'm just holding it here. Whoop, easy. So there, I released the tension, just went with him. I could have dropped it, but I'd rather not because that can be scary too. Good boy. Yeah, we'll do another circle. We'll let him chill for a second though. Let him process for a moment. But it's normal for them to kind of scoot like that the first couple times because it is a weird sensation. And if you've worked on like having ropes around your horse's butt and stuff, that's great. That's all gonna help with this. But the stretchiness of this, something about it makes them a little bit more like, that feels weird. And it's kind of doing its job, right? The point is we want the horse to tuck their pelvis and step deeper, which he definitely was doing. We just want him to do it in not a nervous way. So we'll try that again. Just come behind his butt here. Come around. Good job. And we'll just stand here for a second. Good boy. Give him little scritches. All right, let's try that walk again. Good boy. And I am holding it at about roughly where you want it to be. Kind of mid-hamstring there. You don't want it too low. You also don't want it right up under their tail either. Good boy. And let's just walk another circle. Just walk for a minute. Good. And then we'll stop and release that pressure. Good boy. Oh. Now it is good to give them mental breaks for a little bit. So I'm gonna take this off. Char, just walk him around for a minute or two, let him decompress for a second. All right, so for the first session of introducing Bravo to the Equiband, we got the abdominal one on completely. He was totally fine with that. We started out with the long band around his hind end, which is always the harder one for horses to get used to. He did pretty well with that. We didn't get to clipping it, but I'd say most, or a lot of horses, I don't know about most horses. Some horses, you know, they're whatever about anything. But for a more sensitive horse, I'd say taking about 2 sessions for getting them used to this is a good expectation to set. So we're gonna stop with Bravo today for the Equibands. He did fantastic. And then in a couple days, we'll come back, we'll do session number 2. And I think we'll be able to get him fully clipped up and probably even getting those bands to a working tension on him. So yeah, thank you to Char for being my second handler, and good job, Bravo. We'll see you in a couple days.